Welcome back to another episode of It's All Been Tracked Before. In this episode, we discuss Miri. Oh, sweet, sweet, poor Miri. While you're pondering poor Miri, you don't want to meet her fate. But what you do want to do is check out some other stuff on the IABD Presents network. One of those is the Stark Story Snacks. It's little bite-sized morsels of stories from our own Samantha Stark. And season 1's going to be out there. It's for a limited time, though. So you want to get on that right now. Stark Story Snacks. Please check that out. And also, check out the flagship. It's All Been Done Radio Hour. It's a modern update on old-fashioned radio serials. You're going to laugh. You might cry every once in a while, but it'll probably be from laughing. And even better yet, you can check out this stuff live. These guys do it live. It's even better. Double your fun. And you can check it out at Mad Lab Theater. And the next one is March 11th at 5:30, and you can get those tickets at madlab.net. But right now, sit back, listen to the guys explain the tragic tale, maybe not so tragic, of poor sweet Miri.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Tracked Before. Your regular hosts are here.
Yes, hello, this is Steven.
And this is Jim. Jimmy-Jerome, sorry.
Jimmy-Jerome.
The third regular host, Amanda, is not here.
Nope.
Because there was no sexism in this episode to speak of.
She didn't need to be here.
She didn't need to be here. Actually, there's a little bit of sexism.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she just wasn't available tonight. So we have reviewed the episode Miri. First impressions.
It was a Planet of the Week episode, which we start getting into those, but I liked it more than I remembered. Although eventually, in resolving the plot and all that, all the issues as we'll get into, I thought the first 35-40 minutes were really strong, and I have some other feelings on it, but I liked it more than I remembered liking it, or thought I would like it.
Yeah, I mean, I just rewatched it in August, and granted, I was tired and I was drinking and I just wasn't into it, but I was pretty bored by it in August. Yeah. And I think I enjoyed it a lot more tonight, like really focused on it, paying attention. Yeah. Which is not to say it was without problems, because there are lots of problems. There are a myriad of problems with Miri.
There you go, nicely done. Yeah, starting with, right off the bat, it's an Earth-like planet. It's another Earth.
Not just an Earth-like planet. It's exactly Earth.
Yeah. And
we saw the United States. We saw Africa.
The Great Lakes look exactly the same.
1960s architecture is exactly the same. 1960s, alright.
Yeah. 1900s. To be
exact. 1960s.
So, it's like, did they just not want to make another planet? Did they?
Probably budgetary.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I swear they visited a planet that looks just like Earth at least 4 times.
Yes.
With the same continents and everything. I mean, at least show us from, like, the bottom, so we think, it's different.
Yeah, flip it upside down.
It was spinning slightly different axis, I think.
It did look weird, yeah. And I did research that the backlots they were on were used for Andy Griffith as well.
Yes. So I think they mentioned, like, one of the main Andy Griffith's shops was in this. And I was just looking at every storefront name I could see because it was such a typical backlot. You're like, I had to have seen this in multiple shows and movies in the past.
Yeah, so that part of it seemed lazy. Yeah, not lazy. Yeah, you're right. It's probably more of a money thing.
Cheap.
Yeah, cheap.
Which they're forced to do for their budget.
And also, these are the only 15 kids on the entire planet. And they're all in one neighborhood. I bought that. I just assumed they were all over the planet, and these were the only. Eventually, they got
left
together. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think you go all over the planet, you're gonna find lots more kids.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's probably millions and millions of kids. What I want to know is why couldn't they scan for life signs in orbit? And
sometimes that works, and sometimes they do it. Sometimes
you're
they don't.
beaming down. And there's a possibility of radiation and contaminants, but you're not wearing suits.
Well, that struck me as soon as Kirk gets attacked. Instead of like getting away from the guy and maybe stunning him with a phaser, he's right to, I'm going to punch this guy.
Yes.
And sure enough, he gets the disease faster than everyone.
Look, the security guards, I don't think ever got it. I think they ran out of budget.
That was the other problem.
Like, we're not going to put our extras in the makeup.
Yeah, that was a later problem, too. They just kind of disappear for about a half an hour.
Well, they were patrolling the outside of the building.
Is that what? Okay.
To make sure they
All
wouldn't come in.
All right.
About that. What I didn't buy was all 6 communicators were on tables in the medical bay. None of them were carrying communicators.
I thought about that, yeah. So, they lose the communicators, and I thought about, like, with cell phones. Mm-hmm. You couldn't put 4 people in a room that all have their cell phones. They wouldn't all 4 leave them. At no point would 4 people leave a room and all leave their cell phones. It just would not happen.
Now, see, though, I buy that the 4 of them that were in the room left their cell phones, no problem. Yeah. What I don't buy is the security guards also had left theirs inside. Why weren't they carrying them as they patrolled? Like, if they get attacked by kids, they need to radio inside for help.
I almost feel like whether the writer or the producer or that as a unit, they forgot, oh, yeah, we had security guards beam down with them. And like, oh, crap. So they just, like I said, they disappear. I mean, and it's okay, they're protecting the perimeter, but yeah, aren't they worried about having the disease? And then when Kurt goes to confront the kids, why not take the security guards with you? Yeah, things are gonna get tough over there in case things are gonna get rough. But
I mean, these kids were pretty rough kids.
Yeah, they were.
Now, we go into the logistics of how they survived this long, that for 300 and some years they had food, and now we're 6 months away from running out, which is very convenient.
It was good timing.
But what is this food for 300 years? Because no food that was manufactured and processed would still be around.
Exactly.
They're clearly just playing all the time. They're not gardening.
Yeah.
We don't see them raising livestock. They might catch a rat or 2 every once in a while, but there's like... Yeah. No explanation. And all their clothes would have worn out a long time ago, so how are they sewing new clothes?
It's the Gilligan's Island principle of clothes lasting longer.
Clothes lasting.
Because you just wear even though you're wearing the same thing.
And dental hygiene didn't go out over time? I mean...
I mean, in a way, I guess I don't know how long toothpaste lasts, but...
Not 300 years, I'm sure. I mean, the only explanation I can think of is the... plaque and bacteria in your mouth is also aging really, really slowly.
That's possible.
All of the organic fibers in the clothes are aging very slowly somehow. And they only eat. They need enough food for a normal month over 100 years.
Okay.
So all the food's aging the same. I mean, they certainly didn't explain that, but basically everything would have to be aging that same.
When I had I had my wisdom teeth out, but one of them had developed a cyst around it and ate away part of my jawbone. Oh. So they had to graft a small piece of bone on there. And they thought that at the time I looked very young, this is like 10 years ago or whatever, they thought I was a college student.
Oh,
and
nice.
So they were like, well, so what, are you a student? I'm like, no, I'm not a student. I'm 38. And they're like, oh, well, that changes everything. So just to go to your theory, they were like, well, if you were a college kid, that bone would just regenerate right away. Sure. And they were like, but now that you're that age, no, we're gonna have to take blood out of your arm, put it in there, and then put bone in there, and blah blah blah. So
delightful.
That actually makes sense. I still
think it really makes sense.
It's a reach, but
it's a big reach.
The other thing I couldn't get my head around with their aging thing, a month for 100 years was. So does that mean their brains didn't develop? So that's why they just couldn't get smarter. But it still seems like...
I mean, you can learn skills. Yeah. And so, if we saw them gardening and sewing clothes, I feel like it would be a little bit stronger of an episode.
Yeah, that's what
no, clearly emotional maturity did not progress.
Yeah, I think... because it felt like they came up with this concept and wanted to do these things. And if you don't think about it too much, it's really cool. But then when I started thinking about it, it's like, okay, I just feel like an idiot for 100 years would come up with things. But.
Sure. I mean, you could have fixed this pretty quickly if you just said, first of all, this isn't just like Earth. This planet was developed up to 1960 Earth at this time. Yeah. And everybody died 6 months ago, and we were doing a routine check-in on the planet.
And medical exams. We're done. Probably medical exams.
Medical exams.
Somebody would need a medical exam. They always need that.
And we're all fixed. It's all good. Yeah. So what they're doing, why they needed to make it ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of it. It's a great concept, and I love the.
Sure.
I like the.
And the one they do at least one more time, right?
And just the whole living forever and all that stuff, or prolonging life and that idea.
Planet of Children. I think they do that at least one more time.
And the children shall eat.
Yes.
Which
in season 3.
Yeah, which will probably still be my least favorite episode when we get there, but we'll see. But I think it always ranked at the bottom.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I might change my mind once we go through. But just the idea of them living a month for 100 years and all that was really cool. And then obviously I'm not coming up with the right word, but just the idea of when they hit puberty, they die essentially.
Yeah.
How essentially their youth, in the allegory or whatever, when you grow up, your youth dies, your innocence and all that dies, and
very Peter Pan-esque.
Yeah, I thought that's a cool idea. Again, if you don't think about it too much, Miri becoming a woman and all that, and which is a different thing.
Can we talk about how creepy
we can? Yeah.
James Trump Kirk was?
Well, and I put down that last week, he came on to who was our girl last week?
What was the episode last week?
What are the little girls?
What are the little girls? Yeah, Andrea. Andrea. Sorry, Andrea.
Yeah, and it worked for him, putting the moves on her. So this week, kind of puts moves on Miri to get some information out of her. Backfires on him because then the little girl falls for him, or the young girl.
I don't know that backfires on him because he
Eventually
certainly used it
You're
quite
right.
well.
Eventually, it did work for him.
But I think the rest of the crew was creeped out by it, which I appreciated because somebody should have been. And I'm sorry, even that little joke at the end about I don't go for older women did not erase how creepy that was.
Yeah, I wish it'd been more of because and I didn't feel this when I watched it when I was 12, but obviously being the other end of it now, it's I think there was a way it could have been played so it didn't come off as creepy, but it does.
He could use her crush without playing into it as much as he did.
Yeah, he didn't have to say, when he said she was pretty, he didn't have to say, very pretty.
Right.
I was like, ooh, oh.
Right.
Oh, easy.
I mean,
easy.
In the current context, the first thing I thought of was Donald Trump telling the little girl, in 10 years I'll date you.
Yeah.
That's where my mind... And just to cover our basis, we should probably say, all hail Emperor Trump, because he might have won the election.
Yeah. Yes.
We're recording this before the election, but he might have won.
Just days before the election.
He's just fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh.
Best president we've ever had, hands
I'm
down.
excited.
Unless he lost, in which case he sucks. No. I just don't want to get deported, even though I'm 100% American.
I don't want to be rounded up by the stormtroopers.
Anyway,
I the same thing. I think in the current culture or whatever, which is probably where we should be going.
Sure.
Trying to not have a rape in a creepy culture. I think we immediately are like, whoa, he's up there, Captain.
Was this okay in the 60s for him to hit on a prepubescent girl?
I don't think so.
I mean, she's definitely prepubescent.
Yeah, and
it's not like she's 17 and developed, which is still creepy. But
and it's not the strong full court press he put on Andrea, but it was like...
No, he didn't make out with her, but he hugged her pretty tightly.
You can be nice and all that, and I love the idea of the girl hitting puberty and falling. I mean, I think everyone that goes through puberty falls in love with somebody who's much older than them.
From her end, I don't have a problem.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, from her end, it's fine.
That aspect I love. The other way around is kind of...
Yeah, Kirk needed to handle that better. And it struck me, because he clutches Miri at one point and holds her. Later, he clutches Janice the exact same way. But I felt like he was treating Janice like he treats Miri.
Yeah, well, and even weirder with Janice, he was like giving a little pat, like the little I don't really want to embrace you too closely, pat, which is weird because it should have been the other way around.
Yeah, I honestly thought he was paternal towards both of them.
Yeah.
And a little bit creepy towards both of them. But, she's a grown woman and Miri's not. Seeing him treat them the same way kind of reinforces what gender types were back in the day.
Yeah, and I could have been so much stronger if you changed, with the Janice. I think maybe, is he obviously they've got a close relationship. And, she says the thing about, I've always wanted you to look at my legs or whatever.
Which was a cheese line.
Yeah, just to get us to go, oh my God. And she did rip her uniform, which was like, hey, somebody other than Kirk.
Yeah, well, he ripped his too. On the sleeves
You're right. Eventually
sleeves.
But,
which was just weird when they were hanging off of him. But anyway.
But I like that her sore was near her chest, not on her chest, but whatever. But, so I don't know if his hug and his pat is like, I don't want to get too close to her because we work together, because that doesn't make sense, because they pretty much are close to each other. I mean, they haven't done anything. He hasn't sexually assaulted her like everybody else.
Only one on the crew.
That's right.
There's the one time in this episode where Janice was having a breakdown, and I was like, oh, it's sexual assault withdrawal. She hasn't been sexually assaulted in 4 days.
Well, and then, of course, she gets tied up, and this is the one planet where a bunch of people tie Janice Rand up, and they're not going to
sexually assault her.
That's why she was like, thank God Captain Kirk's here.
You know,
Somebody who wants to have sex with me.
I kind of was... speaking on that, it's a little bit weird to me that John isn't more interested in her.
Yeah.
Because I know he's prepubescent.
He's got to be right there.
Miri, Miri's into Kirk. He should be at least weird around her.
Yeah, I thought, because the other kids they're young. 12, but he...
Yeah.
I mean, I think in real life, that guy's 18, 19, maybe 20, whatever,
something
at that point. Because I think he'd already
Michael J. Pollard.
Yeah, I think he'd already been in Bonnie. Oh, no, maybe he was about to be in Bonnie and Clyde.
I can double check that real quick.
But yeah, and then...
Bonnie and Clyde was 1967. This was 66.
Okay. All right.
So very, very close.
Yeah.
He was in Scrooged as well.
And then I wish if the Kirk-Miri thing was a little less creepy, I think... Because at the end, it's kind of a bummer. They get the disease, and we're out of the planet, they beam up. Because you could have had a nice moment of Miri's first crush leaving.
Yes.
That would have been fantastic. That would have been... Like, I just got emotional thinking about that, and then it's like, nope, we're out. And then we get the funny joke about, I never date older women. Roll credits. And, which is a bummer. I think you could have had a really nice, poignant moment, but... It just didn't build that way.
Well, I don't think we built a whole spin-off over it, but 6 months from now, Miri's still writing Mrs. Miri Kirk in her notebook at school.
That was one of my 3 alternate episodes.
Okay.
The easy ones are Fear the Walking Grups, so it's whatever happened before this.
Sure.
The next one is what happens 6 months later or whatever. Mm-hmm. My favorite I think I hit on was Kirk runs into Miri, and Miri's all grown up now.
Yeah. But she would still be quietly aging, so he'd be like 150, and she'd be 18.
Well, that was another question I had. If they cured them, does that mean they went back to normal aging?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Or no, I mean, I would assume not.
Okay.
Because it didn't seem like that... I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the disease was related to the aging, but like Kirk and them don't... It doesn't affect their aging. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm confused. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I just assumed they would age normally, but if they didn't...
If she aged normally, then sure.
Then yeah, so 10 years later, and he doesn't know it's her.
Right.
Because he can't keep track of all these women on these planets.
Well, if the show had run for 10 years instead of 3,
yeah, exactly.
I think they would have got it around to that.
Absolutely. So yeah, that is my favorite one, I think, actually.
And that was Kim Darby.
Kim Darby, who was in True Grit the first time around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And,
with John Wayne.
She was also...
Golden Globe winner, Kim Darby.
Yeah. She was also...
Golden Globe. Yeah, Golden Globe. Oh, it says nominated, but that says 1 win and 3 nominations. Does that mean... No, she was only nominated for Golden Globe for the comedy or musical generation, but she won a Western Heritage Award.
Right.
She was nominated for a BAFTA for True Grit.
Okay. She also played John Cusack's mom in Better Off Dead. Which I forgot about, so about halfway through the episode, because I was like, I know she played a mom.
Yeah, she
probably played several moms, but that's what I remember.
She only has one... She's only got, like, a couple of credits after 2001, but she does have... she guest starred in an episode of the television series Perception in 2014.
Huh.
Which, yeah. So she's still active a little bit. Not very active.
I meant to look her up. I just remember... And I saw her in a movie with the Fonz. When Henry Winkler was I think The One and Only, I think was the name of it.
Could be. She's got a lot of credits.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got enough credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a working actress.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought she did a good job, and I thought Michael J. Pollard did a good job.
I think so,
the
too.
Kids.
Yeah. And I guess like a lot of the other kids, they just kind of pulled from, like Shatner's daughter's in it, and a lot of crew members' kids, and then the one little blonde girl that's on the desk.
The one with the weird wig?
Yeah, she got her SAG card, apparently, this episode. During a break, the agent talked them into letting her say that one line she says, and that got her SAG card. Now, what she did since then, I didn't look into that. I guess I should have.
I did not. Blonde girl, I assume that's who it is in the credits.
Yeah.
Kelly Flanagan is the
actress's
name.
That was her name.
And she has 5 credits.
Well.
After Star Trek, she did 2 episodes of Family Affair, 1 episode of The Andy Griffith Show, a movie called Wild in the Streets, and 50 episodes of the television show The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. So I guess The Ghost of Mrs. Muir was her thing.
That must have been.
From 1960 to 1970, and then her resume stops. Doesn't say that she's dead. It says she's married with a child. There's only a born date, so I guess she just stopped acting a couple of years later.
All right.
But, she was a child actor. Yeah. Not all child actors want to be adult actors. Yeah. I mean, we get some good child actors when we give them this disease so they don't age. I feel like we could do some good things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I like Haley Joel Osment and recent stuff he's done. Yeah. If we kept him as a kid.
Oh, my God.
Right?
Yeah. Evergreen.
Literally. Something that struck me as weird is he asks Miri to take them to the hospital, right? Where the pills and stuff are.
Yeah, the doctor.
And she says, I'll take you to the hospital. But where they were, it said science on the door, and there was a water fountain, so it looks more like it was a high school science lab than a hospital.
And they had the microscope,
They had the microscope.
Museum
and all
piece.
of the equipment that was suddenly sanitized and clean.
Yes.
And then Spock had his giant accounting machine that was basically like the number cruncher. I mean, that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
He just punched in numbers and it popped out a disc.
Yeah, he was like, he's like 70 by whatever.
So apparently number crunchers get much bigger in the future.
They clearly, yes.
I didn't get that.
I had no idea how it worked, but I'm a simple 21st century man. No idea.
Adding gets a lot more complicated
in
the
space.
future.
Sure.
In space, yes.
Sure.
Space adding is very hard.
What else did I have here? I thought a lot of the stuff, like in the middle of the episode, once they realize they're looking at the history, they spend a lot of time in that lab.
Yes.
And it's very low key, which even once they get the disease, before they start really just losing their minds and flying off the handle at each other very quickly, it's a lot of just talking about the problem like adults, very scientifically and intelligently, and I was like, this is Star Trek. This is really cool. This is why people
Those
like
are my favorite scenes.
Yeah,
Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and Rand in the lab. And
it was great.
And Rand got to participate.
Yeah.
She wasn't just dismissed by being the yeoman.
She was even figuring stuff out. Other than they have her take Miri for a walk at some point, but other than that, And I was like, this is great. They're taking their time with it. I mean,
we got the banter between Spock and McCoy there.
Yeah, of course. So I really liked those moments. I thought it was really cool for them to have those talks, and they have more obviously in future episodes. But I thought it really worked well here, and it was like I said, current TV used to have great stuff like that too, but I feel like it'd be more chopped up and let's get to the thing, and I thought it was just really cool moments there.
Well, and I think that science and morality discussion they were having there, which was the meat of the best part of the episode. Yeah. That was probably what the concept for this episode was, and then they just didn't know how to execute it well enough outside of this discussion.
Yeah.
Because it is an action show. They can't just have them sit in a room for the whole hour.
Right, absolutely. And I get that. And so, Kirk goes to confront the kids or whatever. And I just really want him to just deck all of them. But, I guess you can't do that on TV.
No, I mean, he did throw down that one kid pretty rough.
He got pretty rough with him, yeah.
I was like, you don't do that to a kid. Come on, dude.
But, of course, back in the 60s, you probably could.
Yeah, probably.
That's the problem with kids today. They're not disciplined.
Well, some of them had, chair legs and stuff, and those would hurt. Yeah. But that one, gray club was clearly a wiffle bat with the way it bounced and how light it was.
The great part of that is that, your hand's like, Captain, look out. Yeah. And then it's easily dispelled. It's like, we're done.
He's easily dispelled, and then he still turns his back on some of them and backs them to the desk where they could easily get a... Yeah. And he gets hit in the head with a big, heavy wrench several times. He's fine.
Yeah, just a little blood.
Just a little blood.
Yeah. Bonk, bonk.
And that's when he rips his shirt sleeves. That's And
he gets to do some emoting and yelling over the kids and all that.
Which we didn't see him actually convince them of anything, but then a second later they're following him all happy.
Yeah. It feels like he's starting to sell them. I guess Miri's actually the one that sold them, probably. But
hopefully.
Yeah, but...
We did have a little bit of sexism in that Janice, of course, had to deal with the children, and she was the one who was concerned about the children.
Yes.
She was asking what happened to the little onlys. That was,
and of course the beaming down party. You have to have Rand.
Sure.
She has to go, and the captain...
The captain needs his assistant.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and the 2 crewmen. And you have that nice moment, and I thought the show, this episode especially, was over scored. There was like so much music.
Yes.
Overdone.
Yes.
But there's that moment where McCoy's looking at that tricycle, and they have that nice music, and it feels like he's having a contemplative moment, and it's like, what's Bones thinking about
That's
here?
the backstory I wanted.
Yeah.
Because clearly something strikes him about that trike where he kneels down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because he has a daughter, right? In the continuity, in the backstory.
I think you're right, yeah.
And so I'm like, is he thinking about his own daughter? What is he missing her?
Yeah.
I mean, they all just keep walking, and he just sits there and looks at that trike.
I would like just another couple seconds. I know the guy has to come out and attack him and get the episode going, but I thought that was a really nice little moment.
in that scene, more than just looking at the trike.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really nice scene.
It was, but I wish we'd followed up on it.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a great time for McCoy to talk about his family when they're in the lab.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For all that time.
Yeah.
In the hour-and-a-half version of this episode.
And again, especially, to your point about Rand, it would have been interesting to get Kirk's take and even Spock's take on children. Because, we get into some of Spock's upbringing and all that later. Not all their upbringing. Whatever,
right.
But it would have been interesting to... I don't even think you have to shoehorn it. It's a natural.
Right.
We're hanging out with
Talk about their children.
Come up, yeah.
Or their regret, like Kirk chose his career over having children and having a family. Yeah. And really, they all did to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know Sulu made time, but other than him, none of the main crewmen ever have... Well, Kirk has the child, but he doesn't know about it until he's an adult.
Exactly. Yeah.
So none of them have families. Yeah. And that's something that... I mean, they definitely deal with that next generation where they get to take their families with them and they encourage that work-life balance more. Yeah. Which, of course, was just so 80s and 90s in our society. Right. But, I would have liked to have seen them to talk about it. And, what is it doing to them to give up their careers to give up their families to have this career?
Yeah, that would have been another great little piece to have in there. And, of course, they only have 48 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
but still,
there were some other things that could have taken out.
Especially, and that's where the episode lost me was once you get past all that cool stuff and okay, we gotta get the communicators back. Just go get the communicators back.
Right.
They're just a bunch of kids.
Right. That sequence didn't need to be as long as it was.
No, it just way too long.
And McCoy injecting himself did not need to did not need to happen either.
But those guys, Spock and McCoy, they did a great job of coming up with that vaccine, and it worked fast. It was fast acting to acting.
Because that's exactly how blemishes would fade. I mean, that effect obviously was not updated.
Sure.
Which it would have been interesting. I mean, I think they pick and choose what effects they update, which I get. But it would have been... That was one that I'm like, ooh, couldn't you have done something?
And it's too bad, because I thought the makeup on the first 2 kids that crossed over was really good, especially that first guy.
For the time.
It's really, for the time. Yeah. It's really creepy. And I remember that when thinking back to when I first saw it, it was like, oh yeah, this scared the crap out of me. These weird old people in little kid bodies. But their blemishes and the way they went away. I mean, at that point, they also should have gone in and they could have come up with the 23rd century proactive.
Yes.
And if they could have got it to work that fast, oh my God. Fantastic. Especially with that planet of kids.
Sure.
It would have been perfect. Especially since they're all finally going to hit puberty, so...
Yeah, we had our core 3 down on the planet. I missed all of our side characters this week.
Yeah.
Especially because that jerk Farrell was at Uhura Station.
Yes, he was.
And I was like...
That really bothered me.
Yeah, right? Like, where's your...
Just give us a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Something. And that was the other thing I thought about a lot was we hang out with the kids with none of the other characters around a lot.
Yes. Which
again
could have been... Which we didn't need.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been more interesting if you just saw them... in the shadows for the most
part. Almost a little horror. Like when you get that na-na-na-na-na before you've seen them, and the things are coming down from the
then
top.
Then it's cool.
That's creepy.
Then you don't know what's going on.
Creepy.
It's like Dan and
and Dallas. From Universe Journey. It's All Been Done Radio Hours sci-fi spoof.
That's right.
Only and Grupp, which is not at all a tribute. It is a tribute to this episode, clearly, even though that story is quite different. But I want that creepiness. I wanted that. And then that would have given them time to have those deeper discussions.
Yeah.
Instead of what we had.
Yeah, this long, drawn-out scene. And Yeah.
And it was a very slowly paced episode.
It was. And like I said, I liked
felt
it early on, but then at the end, it was like, let's get here.
Yeah, I mean, some of those old shows are slower paced, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But this one just felt slow paced.
Maybe that was an allusion to the we were living 100 years in 48.
And then they just skipped 3.5 days at one point. Like, we got a week left. Now we have 3 hours.
Yeah,
days and 7 hours.
Exactly.
You're like, what have you been doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, where have you been sleeping? What have you been eating? Where do you go to the bathroom?
Good question.
I mean, those are the questions that we demand an answer to.
And they weren't changing either. Yeah, they weren't changing their clothes. They didn't change their clothes.
They just smell bad. That should have turned off the crush a little bit, but none of those kids were bathing.
No. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We didn't see any babies. Which I think there's a darker side here that they didn't explore.
I
bet a lot of the kids die because they don't have anybody to take care of them, nobody to do medical treatment.
Yep.
No, those infants aren't going to be taken care of.
No.
And so, maybe we get 2 dozen kids in this room, but there were probably a few hundred kids in that city.
Yeah.
And they haven't aged, but most of them are gone.
Yeah.
And I totally buy that from a realistic standpoint, that most of the kids aren't going to survive that.
Right.
But we didn't get into the darkness of that story at all.
No. That was a story they did not want to tell.
No, but
it's there.
Right?
Yeah. And Kirk alludes to it that they're all going to die.
Yeah.
Just like all their friends. But yeah, that's the other stories.
Right.
All the other kids that...
And babies. There were no babies.
Yeah.
None at all.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny, 60s sensibilities dancing around things when they're talking about, there's no adults, but this is 300 years later, and there's kids. Oh. And how do the generations continue or whatever? Yeah. And it's like, you can't just say sex, can you?
Nope.
You have to dance around it. Like, they didn't even say, like, they're not mature enough to procreate, which would have been a clinical way to say it, but they didn't even say that.
Nope.
Sensors were, like, you could feel the sensors in the room right there.
Yeah. Rand can have the skirt and be around children with the skirt up to her.
But how dare you mention sex in any form?
Can't be done.
Which is ridiculous because it was so central to what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Rand's skirt, I feel like Jim and maybe a couple of the other boys really probably should have had the disease because they probably should have hit puberty as soon as they saw Janice Rand in that outfit.
John
he should have
immediately over.
Just keeled over, just dead.
That's the comedy version of this episode.
Yeah. Because that doesn't make sense. If you saw Janice Rand, you're gonna...
She walks in, boom, dun, 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 dun. I mean, they did everything. They lit her face with the zoomed in light they usually use for Kirk. And then they did the soft filter in the one shot.
Yeah, they would show her in the soft, and then they cut back to Miri, and she's normal, and it's...
Well, Miri's a child. You can't sexualize a child.
This is true.
Except they were sexualizing a child.
Yeah.
Fashion. We haven't had our fashion
I have fashion down.
Okay.
But yeah, it was what 60s...
What the kids were wearing.
Were wearing
60s, yeah.
Did one of them have an army helmet on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One had football. One had... Yeah, they had different things.
Yeah.
That girl had... What the hell wig? Greenish.
It was a weird wig /
It almost looked like it was a scalp they'd pull off of somebody.
Maybe that's what happened.
That's the dark side we haven't talked about.
Maybe,
I mean, the Lord of the Flies aspect.
There is that. Yeah, and that was my other problem with the bonk bonk or whatever. I think the idea was, these little kids are that sinister, but either make them sinister or don't. They should have been either bloodthirsty,
right,
or they're not, or they're not. So, of course, now we're writing an episode. We wanted to see not the one we saw, but as it was.
But I feel like most Star Trek, granted from retrospectively looking back 50 years later, we can suggest, we can poke plot holes, we can suggest improvements, but this episode, more than any other we've watched right now, begged for another pass. Yeah. That it could have been a lot better. Yeah. And that's kind of frustrating because it's like, we enjoy this show, we love this show, and this is coming from a place of love, let us fix it.
Right, yeah.
Somebody needs to write the better novelization of this episode.
Yeah, and I read there's a couple... I don't know if they were extensions of Miri, but they were other books that dealt with either another planet that was just like Earth. Oh, actually, they talked about this planet. And then one of the books, the idea was this was just another timeline, and that's what happened to Earth. That actually was Earth. And then there was another one that also deals with Miri. I don't know if it's her later or not, but I would imagine there's stuff out there. But yeah, it's that same kind of thing. I imagine somebody tackled it.
Another interesting note I just saw on IMDb was this is Farrell's last episode. He's only credited with 3 episodes of Star Trek.
Huh.
The Enemy Within, Mud's Women, and then he did this, and that was it.
This is it? Oh, wow.
So he stole Uhura's station, and he doesn't even, stick around.
Bon voyage, Farrell.
Wow.
We hardly knew you.
Maybe people were just mad that he took Uhura's station.
That could have
get him out of
been.
here.
That could have been the problem. All right, so he's gone.
He's gone.
We barely, and we don't have much time left with Rand either.
No,
Yeah.
we're getting close. I mean, I'm not sure how many episodes off the top of my head.
Or at least original series, we don't have much time left with her.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll catch up with her in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me look real quick at her lineup because I think she did 13 episodes. I want to say.
Oh, okay.
She did the first movie, 3rd, 4th, and 6th.
Okay.
So she skipped Wrath of Khan and Final Frontier. She also did that episode of Voyager on Sulu's ship.
Mm.
And I guess she did a couple of the online series, Star Trek New Voyages Phase 2 and Star Trek of Gods and Men.
And was she on the animated?
No.
Okay.
No. She did not come back for the animated. I don't think the character did. The actress definitely didn't.
Okay.
She actually has 13 episodes, which is what we thought. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, she doesn't have... Wait. She has 8 episodes. I'm sorry. She was around for 13, but she wasn't in 5.
Oh, okay.
So she did The Man Trap, Charlie X, Naked Time, Enemy Within, Miri. We've seen 5 of them. We've only got 3 more with her appearing.
Okay.
So we're a little over halfway with
right.
her appearances. Hopefully she'll be sexually assaulted a couple more times.
Yeah, I didn't know how to...
She's in The Carbonite Maneuver.
Okay.
She's in Conscience of the King.
I thought so.
And she's in Balance of Terror.
Oh, okay.
And that's it.
Oh, all right.
So those 3 are all 1966. Those are all still first half of the first season.
Yeah.
So poor Rand.
Yeah.
She's one I would have liked a little more time with.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see how she developed.
Well, or not developed at all. They didn't develop Scotty and Uhura and Sulu and Chekhov as we've gone along.
Yeah.
Which is really disappointing because those characters all deserve to be developed.
Yeah. Oh, Roddenberry, a couple of his kids are in this episode too.
Oh,
those guys are his kids too. I just thought
from his first marriage.
I think so.
Not with Majel because they weren't married yet.
Correct. Yeah.
So not Roddenberry.
Right. Let's see. I had some other random ones. They say the title in this episode. I don't. This might be only the second one because they say Miri a million times.
Oh yeah, because it's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that is unusual. They don't usually say the title.
Where No Man Has Gone Before, they said it, but only because they had to.
Right.
But
in the opening.
Those might be the only 2. Do they call? They don't call Charlie X, do they? Or do they?
No, they don't call him Charlie.
That's just the name of the episode.
They just call him Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others, but I don't know what they are.
Yeah. It just makes me think of the Family Guy bit where he talks about how he loves it in the movies when they say the name of the movie. So whenever they do that, I'm like, they said it.
Well, originally Kirk was supposed to yell, "The Wrath of Khan!" and they shortened it to Khan. Because, it makes sense to say The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. And they probably were supposed to say what a little girl's made of last week, but
yes,
it probably ended up getting cut.
It got cut.
Cut scene.
Yeah.
I also like the reference to a beaker full of death.
As soon as they said that, I was like, hashtag beaker full of death. That is a hashtag born before there were hashtags.
Beaker full of death. That's great. I just love that they were in a 10th or 11th grade chemistry lab.
Yes. Essentially
at that point.
And they could create a beaker full of death in that setting. Makes you wonder what happens with the kids there.
They needed they thought they needed that precious ship's computer, but they doubted themselves. But
well, McCoy's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to trust him. He's going to do the right thing. I'm assuming real quick that we are going to leave our Woman of the Show and Man of the Show where they are. No children sneaking up?
No, and I'm a big Kim Darby fan, but I am not crossing the Captain Kirk line that he did with her.
I'd hope not.
No.
I'd hope not.
She was great in their other movies later and everything, and I was definitely in love with her in the 70s, but no.
Well, in the 70s, that was fair.
She was of age then. Yeah. I was not, but that's okay.
Yeah, you
can go that way. You can go that way.
Yeah.
As we've said. The other little thing I noticed was at the end they're talking about sending whatever teachers and doctors
advisors
and truant officers.
Yes. No parents though.
Yeah, and they're getting them from Space Central.
Yes.
Space Central.
Sure, that's a thing.
Hello, Space Central. How may I help you? Please hold. Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have any answer for that.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be said about that.
I feel like later they would say Starfleet Command or something,
Yes.
or come up with a better term.
Starfleet
But even
wouldn't be the one sending
you
the
wouldn't want to
teachers
send
and
the
advisors.
army out. Yeah.
You'd want to talk to the UFP, the United Federation of Planets.
Yeah. Or whatever, the 23rd Century Peace Corps or something like that. It sounds like
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Space Central just sounded like a...
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was a placeholder, and they got to, and they're like,
we're on a schedule. Just say it.
I can't think of anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we think of something, we'll come back and do this.
Sure.
And then by then they were on to getting rid of Grace Lee Whitney. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, she got rid of herself.
Well, this is true.
Honest.
Yeah. This is true. This is fair.
I mean, not to knock drug addicts. I know that's a serious issue and a serious problem. A lot of people struggle with it, so I'm not criticizing her in that way. But, if you're going down that path, there are costs. And one of them could be your job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's really nice that I'm glad that for her that she got clean, and I think it's great they brought her back for 4 of the 6 films.
Yeah, and, obviously we're still big fans of hers.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I get excited when she comes back because it's like, oh, yeah, you're grand.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel bad every time she gets sexually assaulted.
We do. And we feel bad that, like we said, we only got 3 more episodes with it. It would have been cool to see.
Cool to see more.
What happened, but...
We have even fewer with Farrell.
Bon voyage.
Yeah. Where do we want to rank this in our episode ranking?
That's a good question. What have we got? Where have we got everything else?
We'll do it. Start from the bottom or from the top?
Probably from the bottom. Yeah.
Better than Charlie X.
Yeah.
Better than Mud's Women.
Probably.
Yeah. What about What Are Little Girls Made Of?
That's a tough one there. I think probably better.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think the potential in this kicks it a little bit higher than the episode on its own.
Yeah.
Would be.
I think so too.
Does it go above The Enemy Within?
Maybe.
I'm okay with kicking above Enemy Within. I don't think we want to kick it any further up than that.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. So we'll stick it above Enemy Within, but below The Man Trap. Because why not?
Yeah, sure. It's perfect. For you scoring at home.
For you scoring at home, yes. It goes basically, we've done 9 episodes, and it fell right in the middle.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sounds about right.
Next week, we will be discussing Dagger of the Mind, where Kirk and psychiatrist Helen Noel, whatever, are trapped on a maximum security penal colony that experiments with mind control, and Spock must use the Vulcan mind meld to find a way to save them.
It's the debut of the Vulcan mind meld.
The debut.
Right? Yeah.
That's big stuff.
Yeah.
So one thing I wonder, when they were fighting the diseased guy at the beginning, Kirk was punching him. Spock was right there waiting, just nerve pinching.
That's a good question. Maybe Spock was thinking what I was, like, I'm not touching that thing.
Well, he was touching him, though.
Oh, you're right.
So why didn't he just put his hand there?
That's a good question.
Would have saved him some time.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I'm thinking of now that we're already supposed to be done.
Yeah.
When Kirk stuns the girl and kills her accidentally.
Yeah.
I feel like there should have been more anger and shock from the other children.
Yeah.
And that almost supports our theory that a lot of other children have died and they've just grown immune and numb to the
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, because...
Darby clutches him. She doesn't get scared of him.
Yeah, and they played up more of the denial that this isn't going to happen to me, rather than, oh my God, this happened, or she's dead or whatever. And again, I don't know if that's still that allusion to puberty and this is what happens, but I don't know. I feel like if your friend's going through puberty and growing up, I think you want to be with them, not.
Yeah.
Unless it kills him, which...
Yeah. But I think the other kids at that point, Kirk couldn't even have gone in to talk to John and the other kids. They wouldn't be playing a game. They'd be like, okay, how are we going to get even with Kirk for doing this?
Yeah.
We're going to go beat him up and kill him.
Yeah.
Which they kind of reference, but they don't talk about it because he killed their friend or anything.
Right, and I feel that... I think it's weird the kids can't... Because it seems like what ends up happening to the kids is what happened to the grown-ups. They lose their mind and all that stuff.
Sure.
And they started doing bad things to the kids. So... I feel like they should want to avoid that. It doesn't seem like that difficult a concept to get across, but they struggle with it.
They do.
So, unfortunately. And so the episode goes another 10 minutes with that. They're trying to get it through their heads.
And then,
Don't you listen to me?
Exactly. He gets to make all the speeches.
He gets to do it.
He didn't get to do the Hammy Kirk stuff this time.
Not too much.
Not so much.
Not too much. That was about it. Too busy putting the moves on a 14-year-old. He even got the special lighting for a couple of those lines, too.
Yeah. Well, now that is legal under President Trump,
Well,
we'll have to start doing that.
Yeah, well...
In fact, I think he made it illegal to not hit on prepubescent girls.
Well, I guess they can remake that episode now. It'll still be creepy. We just can't call it that.
Yeah, I think I object to the title of this episode. I don't think it should have been called Miri.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a better title for this.
That I am going to say is lazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the other titles, occasionally they're lazy, but they tend to be metaphorical or illusional or something kind of intelligent. And this one was just like, oh, our main guest character's name is Miri, we're going to call it Miri.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all about her.
Like, I know...
She's important, but it wasn't all about her.
I know Amanda hated the What Are Little Girls Made Of, but I like that title.
Yes.
I still like that title.
Well, I think it was fair to call Charlie X because it was about him and what was happening with him. This wasn't about Miri the same way.
She's part of it, but maybe they were going for that. But she's key to the episode, but she's not...
Yeah, she doesn't deserve to be the titular character.
Yeah. So there could have been something...
better job on the title, Star Trek.
Come on.
I mean, why was it like Planet of the Flies or Lord of the Flies reference or something? If that book was out then, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I would think so,
yeah,
but
I think
I'm not
so.
100% sure.
1954.
So yeah, it was out. Yeah.
My brother did a song, Golding's Boys. They could have gone with that.
Yes, that would have been good too.
Golding's Kids, whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Planet of the Children would have even been acceptable.
Yeah. And if you're going to name it Miri, maybe get into why her name's Miri.
Yeah.
But...
Well, she's a mirror to reflect our humanity and childhood back on us.
Oh, well, there you go.
I don't know. Okay. I just made that up. I just pulled that out of my butt.
She is, not Peter Pan, but something like Peter Pan.
Yeah. There's a Peter Pan aspect in this episode that we did not really talk much about, but they didn't really explore it.
People become monsters when they grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, although Wendy doesn't, right? And Peter Pan.
Right.
She just becomes
older Wendy.
Yeah.
And then Grandma Wendy.
Yeah.
In Hook.
Yeah. Or Peter Pan.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
All right.